much. Crime Beat. I'm Officer Don with Commerce Attorney Ray Larson. Well, hello, Ray.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Throw you out there.
Yeah. One of the things we talk about almost every week is the fact that our criminal justice system pays no attention to crime victims. And we're coming up on Crime Victims' Rights Week, April 18th. And we're going to have our second-class citizens luncheon again this year. Second-class citizen, we call it, because that's the way the criminal justice system treats victims. Breathing family member of a dead victim. We just had a recent case, the Lexington Green murder that occurred right out in the parking lot. A guy shot his boyfriend because the boyfriend was breaking up with him. And there was such, at the sentencing, the defendant was, asking for whatever he was asking for. But I thought it was important to say something about what a victim impact statement is, that victims or survivors have to write. This was from a sister of Chris Tolliver, who was murdered in the parking lot. 1 week after my brother's death, I went to the doctor and was diagnosed with depression and placed on an antidepressant. 3 months after the death, I was taken to the emergency room and was diagnosed and treated for shingles. 3.5 months after the death, my mother was hospitalized, and the end result was due to anxiety and intense grieving. We as a family will always be grieving, as we don't even have the comfort that Chris was able to go peacefully and without pain. And that will be carved in our hearts and minds forever. Also, there seems to be no remorse from my brother's executioner. In the few minutes it took Toby Leisure to pull the trigger, he affected Chris's family for a lifetime, as we will never get to see his smiling face at the dinner table on a holiday or any other time in this life. We have been forever robbed of a son, brother, and best friend. It does give me some comfort that the jurors did the right thing and he will not be able to harm anyone else, but the pain of not having Chris in our lives is at times unbearable. Now, you see, these people have been sentenced to a life of that. And this breathing and begging defendant has got a life. Now, he's in prison, but he's still got a life. And the criminal justice system just doesn't seem to get it. And it's
well, in some states they allow the victims to have
it takes a constitutional amendment to do that.
And now I've seen in some states they actually allow people to come up and speak on behalf of the defendant too. For instance, you'll have a murderer, and then you'll have someone that taught him back in 3rd grade or whatever that will come and say,
well, that's during the penalty phase, the sentencing phase of a trial.
Can you do that now in Kentucky? Can the defendant have people come up to the and talk to the judge and say what a great guy he was?
Well, say to the jury
before he did this. So the defendant can have people come and talk about what a great guy he was, even though he murdered someone. But the victim can't get up in front of the judge.
Well, we can get witnesses up, but it has to be relevant, and we got limitations on what we can do. No limitations on the bad guy.
Wow.
So that's where we are. It's this crime victimization is something that the media just doesn't get. The concept of protecting our citizens from lawbreakers and putting them in jail just seems to be lost on them. One of the local editorials said, quote, "Warehousing addicts and those who commit crimes to feed their addiction isn't working." Well, it isn't working for whom? It works for the people whose houses are burglarized. We don't handle cases in Lexington many cases in Lexington that aren't somehow drug or alcohol related. You know that. Burglaries. What do most burglars do? They're breaking into somebody's house, stealing their stuff in order to sell it for dope, typically. Now, are they saying, and I guess the local newspaper is saying those people don't or shouldn't be sent to prison?
Well, that is what they're saying. But we mustn't forget that there's not a drug offender that goes to prison that doesn't have the opportunity for drug treatment. I mean, they will give you opportunities for treatment if you want to cooperate and do it while you're in prison. And I don't think that anyone's arguing that while these people are incarcerated that we shouldn't have opportunities for them to clean up, so when they get out they can be clean and have a fresh start. But to just say that drug treatment is all it's going to take, that we know that's ludicrous. I mean, you can't make the people take the drug treatment now. They're certainly not going to take it if you don't have the stick of prison time in front of them.
Well, here's
Even
the
fewer people are going to get treated, is my point. Fewer people are going to be treated if you don't send them to prison. Do you doubt that?
No. It's every place they've done the same thing that they're doing in Kentucky. The percentage of people that show up for court-ordered drug treatment is far fewer than
And they're much more likely to accept this treatment and to cooperate while they're in prison because they have anything else to do.
Well, and they get credit for that.
Yeah.
You know, most of us have been raised with the idea that if we break the law or we break the rules, that we suffer consequences. And what this new criminal law revision is doing is taking away real consequences. Because most of the felons that we deal with really don't care about another felony conviction. All they want to do is avoid being put in jail or prison. That's all they really care about. Now, there are some exceptions, but not many. And if you take away the expectation of punishment, you're taking away completely a reason for them not to break the law. So it's interesting. You know, the whole criminal justice system, law enforcement in Lexington is very interesting, but it's amazing how few people really understand. And we have hired a young woman named Caroline Dunn, who is graduated from the University of Kentucky with a communication degree and is very astute. And among her duties are to deal with a specific thing in the office. But in the time that she has, aside from that, we've asked her to work with us on getting the message out. And she came up with a great idea because we want people her age to be tuned in to the criminal justice system. And Caroline has come up with a great idea. And what is it, Caroline?
Well, Ray, like you said, when I first started working with you at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, I was pretty clueless of the court system, and the truth is a lot of people my age are. And so we came up with the idea of Crime Fighting 101. And Crime Fighting 101 consists of video episodes that walks people through each step of the criminal justice system in an informative and interesting way.